Dr. Johnson was the founder and chief executive of a private student loan company, Reunion Student Loan Financing Corporation, before assuming his official role with the department. Is that correct?
That probably is correct.
Yes, it is.
Let me just interject. And
I would like to continue.
and I would like to make clear that
we'll
all
give
of
you
the
some time.
individuals,
I will get to it. Thank you so much.
the individual you have referred to is not part of the acquisition or procurement team.
What happens when a heated congressional hearing takes an unexpected turn, and the person under fire ends up completely flipping the script? This time, it wasn't a politician playing defense. It was a Trump supporter calmly standing her ground as Representative Ilhan Omar tried to corner her with accusations that quickly fell apart under their own weight. What started as a confrontation soon turned into a moment that had the entire room, including her own colleagues, struggling to hold back laughter. Before we roll the clip, tell me in the comments where you're watching from today, and whether you've ever seen a political takedown this clean. Now, let's see how it all unfolded.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam Secretary, countless news sources have reported on the conflict of interest that run rampant through your top aides, especially those advising you on higher ed and loan servicing. When responding to questions about these conflicts, you have failed to adequately convince Congress and the American people that these conflicts do not interfere with the billions of taxpayer dollars flowing from education to corporate interests. Today, I would like to better understand your decisions for selecting aides and ensuring that their conflicts do not harm taxpayers. Last May, 4 of my colleagues on this committee sent your General Counsel a request for information about conflict of interest surrounding your $2 billion next-gen loan servicing solicitation. Given that this solicitation is given, I would like some information about the team that's leading it. Does Dr. A. Wade Johnson, is he the one that's spearheading this solicitation?
Dr. Johnson is head of the Next Gen Initiative.
All right. According to New York Times investigation, Dr. Johnson was the founder and chief executive of a private student loan company, Reunion Student Loan Financing Corporation, before assuming his official role with the department. Is that correct?
That probably is correct.
Yes, it is.
Let me just interject. And
I would like to continue.
and I would like to make clear that
we'll
all
give
of
you
the
some
individuals,
time. I will get to it. Thank you so much. Dr. Johnson was also the executive at the two financial services companies, First Data Corporation and TSYS. Additionally, Dr. Johnson was hired at least one other TSYS veteran, Mr. Patrick Fox. Have any of Dr. Johnson's previous employers bid on elements of next-gen solicitation?
Congresswoman, all of my staff, all of my team at the Department of Education and Federal Student Aid has gone through their ethics process, has taken and takes their ethics obligations very seriously. We don't have conflicts, and we will not be conflicted. We continue to have a robust screening process, and can stand and be very resolute about that.
Mm. So given that there is about $2 billion per year in taxpayer dollars flowing through this program, will you commit to releasing communication between the procurement team and any of Dr. Johnson's former employees?
So all of the procurement is walled off from the rest.
That would just be yes or no. Would you be committed to releasing any communication between Dr. Johnson and his employees?
You can see exactly what Omar was trying to do here. This was meant to be a gotcha moment. She came in ready with her notes, her quotes, and a tone of authority that screams headline clip, but what she didn't expect was that the person sitting across from her had done her homework. She didn't panic, she didn't lash out. She just let her dig deeper into her own assumptions, and then calmly dropped the facts one by one. When she pointed out that the official she accused wasn't even part of the procurement team, the oxygen left the room. You could almost see the expression on her face change. That brief flicker when confidence turns into realization. Because in that instant, the story she came to tell collapsed under the weight of simple truth. And when the laughter started spreading through the chamber, it wasn't mockery, when it was the sound of a narrative crumbling in real time.
Any communication between Dr. Johnson and his employee?
Not to releasing internal communication, but the procurement team is walled off from the rest of the team, and the procurement process is very definitely prescribed as to how it has to happen.
That has not clearly answered my question. The federal acquisition regulations have a section on conflict of interest. It states, the general rule is to avoid strictly any conflict of interest or even the appearance of conflict of interest in government contract relations. While many federal laws and regulations place restrictions on actions of government personnel, their official conduct must, in addition, be such that they would not have no reluctance to make a full public disclosure of their actions. You seem to have reluctance to make a full public disclosure of the actions of the head of the department's largest single procurement team, despite there being obvious appearance of conflict of interest. How is your denial to release communication in line with extremely high conflict of interest standards that's required by federal law?
The individual you have referred to is not part of the acquisition or procurement team.
Okay. But we need the communication that is happening between the procurement team and the employers of Dr. Johnson.
That process is walled off from any other process.
That exchange wasn't just about one committee hearing. It was about something far bigger. It's a reflection of how politics in America has started to drift away from truth and drift toward performance. You could see it in the posture, in the tone, in the way Ilhan Omar came armed not with facts, but with theater. She wanted a moment that could live on Twitter, not a moment that could stand in history. And that's the difference between performance politics and factual accountability. One chases applause, the other faces reality. This wasn't about left versus right. It was about substance versus spectacle, about who actually shows up to do the work and who just shows up for the cameras. Ilhan Omar walked into that room expecting to expose a scandal, expecting to corner her opponent into a soundbite that could be replayed online for days. But what she didn't expect was for the person across from her to come armed with something far more dangerous: the truth. She built her entire line of questioning on the illusion of corruption, not the existence of it. She used insinuation as evidence, tone as testimony, and confidence as proof. But confidence without substance always cracks. And when it does, you can hear it, you can feel it. The room gets quieter, the faces shift, the momentum turns. Because when the truth enters the conversation, all the noise stops. You could almost feel that exact moment, and when the so-called smoking gun she promised didn't appear. The crowd that had been waiting for the knockout punch slowly realized there wasn't one. And the person she was trying to corner, she didn't even flinch. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't roll her eyes. She didn't fight fire with fire. She just calmly, confidently, and surgically stated the facts. The person you're accusing isn't even part of the team you're talking about. That single sentence did more than win an argument. It dismantled an entire narrative. The moment those words landed, the air in the room changed. It was no longer tension, it was realization. Even the cameras couldn't hide it. The smiles, the laughter, the disbelief that a 5-minute political ambush could collapse so completely, so publicly, so fast. And that's the beauty of composure, because real strength in moments like these isn't about who can shout the loudest or who can make the sharpest insult. It's about who can stand their ground when the spotlight burns brightest and still keep their cool. When the facts are on your side, patience becomes your sharpest weapon. And in this case, patience wasn't just powerful, it was devastating. But here's the deeper truth, beyond the laughter, beyond the politics, beyond the viral headlines. This was a reminder that integrity isn't partisan, it's universal. Whether you support the Trump witness or not, whether you lean left or right, the principle remains the same. When the truth is on your side, you don't need theatrics. You don't need outrage or clever one-liners. You don't need to perform honesty, you just live it. Because clarity, not noise, is what wins in the end. And what we saw in that moment was clarity cutting through chaos, truth standing tall while performance crumbled. This wasn't a takedown built on humiliation or anger. It was built on precision, on the power of staying calm when the other side starts to wobble. And that's what makes it so memorable. The quiet dismantling of a loud accusation. The polite correction that ends an entire narrative. So the next time you watch a hearing, a debate, or a press conference where someone's trying to turn policy into performance, remember this moment, because the quietest voice in the room often leaves the loudest echo. And if there's one thing that clip proved, it's that the truth doesn't need a spotlight, it just needs a stage. It doesn't yell, it doesn't posture, it simply stands there and waits for the noise to burn itself out. In the end, this wasn't just a political exchange. It was a master class in how truth behaves under pressure. It doesn't fight chaos with chaos. It absorbs it, outlasts it, and exposes it for what it is. So, if you took anything from this moment, let it be this. Facts don't care about volume. Composure beats outrage. And reality, no matter how buried, always rises to the surface. Stay informed, stay grounded, stay skeptical. And above all, never mistake performance for proof. Because when the cameras stop rolling and the headlines fade, the truth is the only thing that remains standing. Smash that subscribe button if you made it to the end so you don't miss the next one.